everyone, so today we'll be talking about what is the pituitary gland. So what is the pituitary gland? Well, the pituitary gland is a part of the brain and it's located right below what we call the hypothalamus, and it's over here, this light pink part. And the pituitary is this more darker pink. And the hypothalamus is important for what we call homeostasis, which is basically regulating your internal environment. And by internal environment, I mean your body. So there's many stuff to regulate in your body. One such thing is temperature, which has to always be 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Then another would be blood pressure or glucose levels. Now, the hypothalamus cannot fix the problem, but rather it can detect the problem. So it can detect the problem, but it rarely fixes. It sometimes can, but it rarely fixes the problem. So then who fixes the problem? Well, that is the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus kind of collaborate in many cases. So, now if you had looked at the name of the pituitary gland, you would have seen the word gland. But what is a gland? Well, to do that, we need to look at the human body. So over here we can see what we call the endocrine system. And the endocrine system is made up of what we call glands. And these are all the glands. And the pituitary glands over here. And what glands are is they produce something we call hormones. But what are hormones? Well, a hormone, you could think of it like a message that calls a particular part of the body to do a certain thing. So, now I have a big question, which is, what is the difference between a hormone and an electric signal in the nervous system? So in the nervous system, there's many electric signals that are traveling all around our bodies, and they're carrying signals across the body. So a hormone travels in the bloodstream, and an electric signal travels in the neurons. And electric signals are electricity, so they travel really fast. And hormones travel in comparison quite slower than electric signals. And these electric signals travel the speed of light. So those are the differences between a hormone and an electric signal. So now it's fun fact time. And the fun fact for now is, did you know that the pituitary gland controls all other glands in the body, and hence it's called the master gland? So now we're going to look at the anatomy of the pituitary gland and the functions of it. So the first important part, there's two important parts. The first one is the anterior and the posterior. So this is the anterior pituitary gland and this is the posterior pituitary gland. So anterior means on the front, so this is the front side, and posterior means on the back. So this is the back side. So now, let's talk about the hormones that are produced by the anterior pituitary gland. So the anterior pituitary gland produces prolactin, which is the production of milk in mammals, and it also produces the growth hormone, which helps in growth. So I just want to explore that a little bit. So this is a cell, and a cell is what we call mitochondria. And mitochondria are all around the cell, and there's always a bloodstream next to every cell. And nutrients travel across the bloodstream, and when they'll go to the cell, and specifically the mitochondria. And the mitochondria will change or convert the nutrients into fuel for the cell to use. And that is called metabolism. And why does the cell need fuel? Well, the cell needs fuel for cell reproduction. Now, for bone cells and some types of cells, you'll find there's a specific hormone from the liver called IGF-1 or insulin-like growth factor 1 that is important for the same process, the growth hormone in bone cells. Now, the big question is, if you eat a lot of food, say I ate a lot of food one day, will I just grow taller? Well, no, because the brain is actually using most of the nutrients. So you wouldn't go taller, and there's many other uses for the nutrients. So basically the pituitary gland has to allow more nutrients and devote more nutrients for the cells to reproduce in order for growth to happen. So the next thing is, the thyroid stimulating hormone, which stimulates hormone production in the thyroid gland. So this is the thyroid gland. It's this part over here. And the thyroid gland, it produces two different hormones, which are thyroxine and thyroidothyronine. It's very hard to pronounce. And these two hormones are important for metabolism. And okay, so now let's talk about the next one, which is luteinizing hormone, which is important for the male and female reproductive systems. And then we also have the follicle stimulating hormone, which is also important for male and female reproductive systems. And then lastly, we have the adrenocorticotropic hormone. And let's explore that a little bit. But now it's fun fact time. And the fun fact for now is, did you know that the pituitary gland is only the size of a pea? So back to our adrenocorticotropic hormone. And this is the body, and this is the endocrine system. And we have these two parts above the kidneys, which are called the adrenal glands. And they are the important thing for the adrenocorticotropic hormone. So the adrenal glands, the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, make up the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is sometimes called the HPA axis for short. And it's all important for stress. So let's explore this more. So this is the brain, and we have on the red part is the hypothalamus, and the green part is the pituitary gland. So the hypothalamus produces a hormone we call corticotropin releasing hormone. And what this does is it goes straight to the pituitary gland and produces another hormone which we call adrenocorticotropic hormone. And the adrenocorticotropic hormone, what it'll do is it'll go straight, say this is the spinal cord, and I know it's a little short, not in scale, but just to give you the idea, and say this is the kidney, and this orange thing is the kidney, and this green part is the adrenal gland, and the adrenocorticotropic hormone will just go straight to the adrenal gland. So that's the adrenal gland. And just fun fact, the adrenal gland is sometimes also called the suprarenal gland, and the adrenal gland will get this adrenocorticotropic hormone, and when the adrenocorticotropic hormone reaches the adrenal gland, it will produce a hormone in the adrenal gland called cortisol hormone. So let's say this is the cortisol. So the cortisol is very important in stress. So now let's talk about the posterior pituitary gland. So there's two hormones that the posterior pituitary gland produces. The first one is vasopressin, and to me it's very important. And vasopressin, so we'll take a slide. So vasopressin is important for increasing blood pressure when it is low, and it's also important for osmolarity, which is the same thing as blood concentration. So osmolarity is when solubles like sodium, potassium are in the bloodstream, and the amount of those solubles in the bloodstream. So that's called osmolarity. So when there's too much, it can be very fatal. So that's why vasopressin is important for regulating the amount of the osmolarity. So when it's too high, vasopressin makes it low. So that vasopressin is important for blood concentration. Then the next part is oxytocin, which is important for love, bonding, childbirth, milk production in mammals, and reproduction. A lot of hormones, a lot of functions. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a quite long video, and we have the thalamus video over here and the hypothalamus video over here.